Welcome back, and thank you for joining us. We've got a very special guest on our BNI San Diego podcast today. We've got Robin White with Guided Leadership Solutions. Robin has been in business now for just over 2.5 years. I believe you were a consultant in the same kind of genre for 12 plus years or so?
As a side gig, yeah, I've been consulting for 5 and 2.5 of those years with Guided Leadership Solutions. But before that, as a side gig, I've been doing consulting since 2011.
And your business is really kind of HR consultant, that area, right?
HR, compliance, and leadership development is our focus.
All the things that as business owners petrify us, so we need a consultant like you that kind of walk us through that practice or that process. And I know that you've been a huge blessing in my life because I'm really good at the running in the business, but that employee side of running the business can be overwhelming, which brings us to our topic today of who's really running your business. Now, Robin, why'd you pick that topic?
There's probably a lot of reasons I can go into it, but to narrow it down, so it really kind of goes back to why Don and I started the business in the first place.
So Don is your partner?
Sorry, yeah, Don Myers, my partner at Guided Leadership Solutions and also a BNI member. Nice. And Don and I, why we started this business was we knew that there's a lot of small businesses who need this level of knowledge on HR and leadership development and compliance and areas of the people element of their business.
Oh, yeah.
And there's not a lot of resources out there. That's not true. There's a lot of resources, but there's not a lot of proactive support to help small business owners know what they should know. And so this topic really is a foundational vantage point of small business owners, kind of giving them pause to think about like who's actually in charge in their business. They think it's them, but the truth is it's not. And it comes down to the people and who they are bringing into their business to help them run and succeed in their business and to reach their goals.
Well, because in order to really scale your business, you've got to duplicate yourself or add people in. And the moment you do, that becomes a scary thought, right? Because you're trusting your brand, you're trusting your business, you're trusting the image with your customers to somebody else.
It's so scary.
Oh.
And it is one of those things, right? Like it doesn't matter. You could have the best product, the best service, whatever in the world, doesn't matter if you don't have the right people behind that, designing it, developing it, making it, servicing it, anything you've got. It is all about the people. Otherwise it's not scalable. Small business owners we've found are just a lot of times frozen in place. Like they know they might need to hire, but they're afraid to hire because they don't know how to hire, or they have become no different than other leaders and other organizations. But in small business owners, you started a business because you had a passion for a product or a service. Or you didn't want to be an employee, you wanted to be the boss. You have a reason for going into the business, but it doesn't automatically, magically make you a great leader or know how to bring on great people and motivate and encourage and invest in the people in your company to help them help the business. And so that's what this is all about, us educating small business owners to help them build the company that they dreamt of and realizing they can't do it without adding people.
Well, and you can only go so far, right? A lot of people, like you said, started something because they're really good at their craft, or as Michael Gerber of eMyth talks about, I'm really good at making pies and I want to get them out there. But there is going to be a point where you're going to need to duplicate yourself and you're going to need to hire someone. And I'm going through it as well. I've hired just recently my first executive assistant, and it's been overwhelming because you want to make sure that you're dotting all your I's and crossing your T's, and which is where we've had to connect because I've had so many questions because it can be overwhelming. You want to make sure that you do it right. And as a small business owner, you look at these big HR firms or some of these organizations and they're overwhelming. They're not personable. which is what I love about you and working with you and Dawn and your team, is you're very present, you're very active in the conversation, and how you support the growth of the businesses that you get to support.
It's really important to us, and utilizing our unique backgrounds to be able to do that personalization, to be able to meet the clients where they're at and where their needs are. We don't come in with our own agenda. We show up where the client's feeling the pain, and we educate and provide knowledge, and then help our clients find solutions that are right for them. So often HR is approached in a very black and white, and it's not. And you have to really consider what's realistic. And having been a small business owner, I grew up in family business, grew up in small businesses, and have owned and operated my own small business with 50 employees before making consulting my full-time focus. I have this vantage point of having walked a mile in the shoes of a small business owner. And so that's where I'm able to tailor it and say, and have conversations about them and what's realistic that they can do for their business, and in their situation, and not be like, nope, this is how you got to do it.
Well, yeah, it sounds like obviously there's a story there, right? There's, why this genre of business? What's your background? It sounds like you may have experienced some of those pain points.
I grew up in it. So yeah. San Diego native, born and raised in San Diego. I feel like one of the few people who can have that claim to fame. I grew up literally working for moms and pops, my own mom and pop. I grew up in an entrepreneurial family. My parents had small businesses with as many as 300 to 400 employees across the nation. So we're not talking massive companies, but we're talking business, and we're not talking teeny little companies. We're talking about companies that have several hundred. And that's how I got my start in doing what I do, is going to work for mom and dad. Left working for mom and dad once I graduated college to prove that I could make it out in the real world without mommy and daddy in an HR career. And I did that in corporate America for about 10 years. And then wanted to have a balanced life of making, I had kids, young kids, and wanting to have...
Wait, you mean you get to have a life too?
Oh, I try. That's one of the things we talk to our small business owners about a lot.
Learning balance, yeah.
Is balance and finding boundaries, and something we actively work on ourselves. And it's easier said than done, but we feel those same pains ourselves.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I actually left my corporate HR career in 2011 to go into business, and joined in business to co-own and operate a 24-hour restaurant in the Gaslamp Quarter in San Diego with my brother, my mom, and my sister. And it was in existence before I joined them in partnership, and together we ran it, had it in the family for 10 years, sold it in 2018. And that is where I landed at that time. I have this HR background. I have a master's degree in HR. I have all of that. And I have this experience in small business and entrepreneurship. And our restaurant had 50 employees. And I've got the real life knowledge of how do you start a business and how do you scale it.
When you're dealing with your clients, that's a huge aspect that you bring. You've been in their footsteps. You've felt those pains, all of the elements of growth, all of it.
That is honestly how I set myself apart, is because I have been there. I'm not just some HR person who has the experience doing it for others.
Or the pedigree from as far as like the schooling that side of it.
I've lived it. I have literally lived the pains, the scarcity, the fear of not making payroll, all of the above. And you talk about like the shoe peddler whose kids go barefoot. Like, we had HR gaps in our business, even though with my background and experience, it's like other things take priority. So I get that too. Yeah. But yeah, so we sold that business, and it's like, well, what do I want to do? I don't want to own another restaurant, and I don't want to go back into being a corporate HR, traditional HR role. What do? Utilize my knowledge, my experience to go help other small businesses be able to develop their systems, their processes, be able to understand how bringing people into their organization, the right people into their organization, can truly help them meet their company's goals and help them grow and scale.
So in your experience and over your time, both as someone who owned a business that needed this element and now running the business on the HR side, what are some pain points or common challenges that you've seen some small businesses go through? What do they typically face? And with regard to people and operations and that, and then kind of how have you worked with them through that?
So one of there's two things that immediately come to mind. And so the first one is in our experiences in speaking to a lot of small business owners in the last 2.5 years, is they know they should know more. They feel the fears. I mean, you included, right? When we've had conversations, like, Rob and I know I need to know something about having employees, and I know that I have to set things up right to protect my business. But I don't know what I don't know. I don't know where to start. It's overwhelming. There's too much information. So I think that's one of the biggest ones, is that fear of what they don't know. And so what we're really focused is on proactive consulting, in that we take the time to ask the questions, to get the information. We ask the questions. We don't just have this model of waiting to have questions asked of us, because answers are only as good as the questions you ask.
Absolutely.
And so I think that's really a big one, is that I don't know what I don't know. Where do I begin? How do I find out answers? But the other one, I think, where we honestly get more calls than that, is employee related issues, employee relations, performance, accountability.
That's a scary area. I mean, my skin is just crawling with as soon as you said that.
It's all good when you've got good employees, right? But where there is a lot of struggle is having issues with their employees. And so we do a lot of coaching in helping navigate difficult conversations, helping develop a company that has some training and accountability and ways to measure performance. Because honestly, where a lot of disconnect comes in is employees who are not clear on what's expected of them. And so we help develop the foundational practices in a company to provide some of that structure and knowledge and training and clarity, to help minimize some of those frustrations.
There's a saying that I heard not too long ago, that being clear is unkind. Clarity being, we need people to know what their role is. And as the business owner, I want my people to know, but sometimes I don't know how to go about, how much, again, because it's a scary element of running a business. When you have somebody else that you're looking after, you want to make sure that everything is done right. You don't want to break any laws. You want to make sure that, so it's a scary endeavor. And I think even from just a little bit ago, as a solopreneur that wants to grow, that fear can keep people from growing and becoming something. I bet you there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there and businesses that we need to know about that aren't there because of those fears of, man, I don't know what to do, and I don't know how to hire, and I don't know, I want to make sure I don't get in trouble and all of those things. Yeah,
I agree. I think there's a lot of holding yourself back because of that fear. Another thing that is probably holding back a lot of small businesses owners is the thinking that nobody could do it as good as them. And that is something we all struggle with. And another element that we coach on a lot is, again, developing the structure within your business so that you can pour into your employees the importance of what they need to know about your business so that it can meet your expectations, but then trusting and letting go, having the processes to find the right people, to do good interviewing, and to really help increase your chances of an effective hire of the right person, and then the right, doing training and pouring out of knowledge, working to invest and develop your people, and at some point you got to let go and trust, because if you always think that they can't do as good as you, then you are right. And then you're stifling your own abilities to grow your business.
You're not going to grow. And one of the things that we talked about before we started today is a book that's become one of my favorites. And it's Who Not How by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Highly recommend it. Really, in order to grow your business, you've got to add people. You've got to find the who's that can do it much better on the how side of things.
And you got to find the right who's.
That's a good point. It's not just about the who.
Yeah, it's the right who's. And we work a lot with our clients. We have tools that we use to help our clients. We want to know our clients' strengths and where their superpowers are, and what's really important for them to be pouring into their business. And we want to hire to their weaknesses.
Yes.
And because somebody else's strength is what their weakness is in, and we want to bring balance into their organizations. And so we really do a lot to evaluate where the right people. We are not looking for the people who we like the most are going to be our best friend. We're looking for the people whose natural innate talents or experiences, education, whatever it is that's needed to satisfy a weakness in the company, and really pour into that strength.
Yeah.
As opposed to bringing in people like us.
Well, and we all have weaknesses. Now, whether we want to admit it or not is one thing, right? But we've all got weaknesses. There are so many things that I'm not good at, but I also know the things that I really am good at. And that's what I want to be able to focus on. What are those unique abilities that I, as the franchisee, as the business owner, can only focus on and really needs to focus on, and what can go to somebody else? And that's the who part of it. But there's a whole element, which is where you come in. Once we have the who in place, having those foundations before, let me ask you this question. Is it worth someone having a conversation with you that is thinking about growing and they want to be able to do it the right way? So, because a lot of us, we grow and we just kind of make the mistakes and we just kind of walk through it. To be able to refer to someone like you where they can have a conversation and go, hey, if you're planning on growing, these are the kind of things you want to be able to kind of look for. And these are the kind of steps you want to take.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be worth it. We'll do a free consultation anytime. And I don't know that you would be surprised, but sometimes it surprises me how many of the calls we get are from business owners who haven't even made their first hire yet. Yeah. That's a very common place we're finding is they know they need people. Mm-hmm. They know they need the right people. They know there's things that they need to do to protect their business. They just don't know where or how. And so I can pass on a lot of great knowledge in just a short time. And then we can decide if there's more knowledge that they want beyond that. But yeah, to have kind of that coaching call of where we can talk about it and evaluate the skills, the abilities, the traits that you're looking for in a person to make sure that they're complementary of what you've already got in the business so that you are filling in your gaps, right? That's the big thing. Of course, we all have weaknesses. Of course, we all hate to acknowledge them, but to acknowledge them, to have that awareness is really a big shift in thinking to grow a company and to create a company that has those gaps filled.
Oh, absolutely. Completely. So I have a one final question. I know we're coming to a close, but if you were to look at some of the most impactful decisions a small business owner makes when it comes to or regarding employees and bringing on, what are a couple of those things that you might suggest?
Hire slow, fire fast. take the time, do the hiring right. And there is no magic answer in hiring. There's no crystal balls, but there's absolutely some process and structure behind hiring and making hiring decisions to help increase the chances of effectiveness. And then, why we say fire fast. We have to say that with like an asterisk. I'm not telling you to fire people.
Yeah.
I don't want to be blamed for any wrongful termination lawsuits, but we say true colors shine through. And if you see it coming fast, if you see it really early on, it's not likely that you're going to be able to change somebody. But with that being said, and this is like a blaring like asterisk on that one, it's almost contradictory to that first piece of advice, but it's invest in your people. Give the time, have the conversations, learn about them, treat them as humans. But that's where the hiring slow comes in, is really investing the time that they are the right person, and then investing in that person to really rise them up in their strengths, to honor those strengths, to not be focused on the weaknesses.
Yeah.
Because you brought them in for a reason. So they show how you can, you rise things up, as opposed to beating them down, and you're gonna get a lot further. And so invest in developing some, not helping them with the knowledge that they need, getting them training if they need it, having conversations if there's something that's bothering you, talking about it and creating an open communication. But that investment in your people as humans, recognizing that their life is bigger than your company. And I think that is something that has gotten lost in the workplace, that COVID brought back to light. And that we are living in a very different world of work as we sit here today than we were 4 years ago. And one of those shifts is employees demanding to be seen as human beings. And that's what it should have been all the time.
Yeah, they're not just a tool, they're actually human.
They're human. Their moms, their dads, their brothers, their sisters, their nieces, their nephews, their friends, they've got their pet owners, and life is happening all around us. And honoring that they are humans, and that there are times in their lives where they're going to go all in on your company, but there's time in their lives where they're going to need you to support them if something big's going on outside of your company. But if you treat them as a human and you give and you pour into them, you're going to get them. Life's in waves, right? And there's a season for everything that comes at us as human beings. And to know that you're building this relationship, and you're building and investing in them, that season comes back.
Yeah.
And if they feel that love and they feel that support, they stay. And they, as they rise, we always say, it's not about your company. It's really got nothing to do with it. Pour into your people, give them the proper training, give them the proper trust, and develop them. And as they rise, your company just gets to go along for the ride.
It's a natural progression.
Yeah.
But it's that element of pouring into your people that's so
pouring into the people. That's like the number one thing.
Robin, I thank you so much. We could go on. And that just reminds me that we need to have you back with us again and touching on another topic, because this is an area that so many people are afraid of, and they don't know who to go to and what to do and how to talk about it and whatnot. So it's great to know that there's amazing HR consultants like you around there with guided leadership solutions. What's your website?
Guidedlead.com.
Guidedlead.com.
Yeah.
And we'll have that in the show notes as well. Robin, thank you so much for joining us. Robin is a BNI member in one of our most amazing chapters, BNI Billionaires, and you've been in that for about 2 years now. And as a last question, how has your time in BNI really impacted your business?
There's probably not really good words for this. It's not just impacted my business, but impacted me personally and professionally, just as a person. Having not ever been in a role in my career where I was in a business development and growing a business space, and BNI has given me knowledge and insight into how, and how to do that. And so BNI has been huge for us. from the beginning. We within weeks of starting our business, I started visiting BNI chapters and joined a chapter a few weeks later. And I can honestly say, Ed, had we not made the decision to join BNI, we would not be here today as a business. We wouldn't have made it this far.
Oh, wow.
It's been just really impactful to learn how to grow our business through professional and personal relationship building that BNI is focused on. And so super happy to be a part of BNI. And Don and I are both members, and we see the value of what BNI can do, not just for our small business, but how we're getting to impact other small businesses through referrals and the whole giver's gain mentality of being able to help our colleagues grow their businesses because of the collaborations that we have made and created through BNI.
Well, we are so happy you're here. I love the fact that you're a referral partner, someone I have great confidence in referring to individuals that are either starting or growing or have grown businesses for years. You're a valuable asset to our BNI San Diego community, San Diego in general, but I know that you guys go across borders, so we're looking forward to even referring you outside of the area. Again, Robin, thank you for joining us. I look forward to having you back soon on a similar but different topic. And just any final thoughts as we head out? Thank
you, Ed. Thanks for having me. And I do look forward to joining you again soon.
Terrific. Thank you, Robin. Thank you to our amazing audience. We look forward to being back with you next week with another wonderful co-host or interviewee, however you want to look at that. Thank you very much and have a great week.
This episode of the BNI San Diego podcast has been brought to you by Cruise Productions, a San Diego-based video production company and proud BNI member. You can find us at the intersection where business and creativity meet, or online at cruiseproductionsinc.com.